Chosen one, anchor your spirit and lock your attention on this message right now. That pressure in your chest, that restless feeling telling you tomorrow is important, does not need to control you. Take a breath and listen closely. The last 72 hours may have felt unusually heavy. Maybe you have been waking before your alarm, staring at the ceiling at 3 o'clock in the morning with thoughts moving faster than your body can handle. Perhaps you have been exhausted in your bones, distracted during the day, or feeling an unusual urgency to organize your life, clear your space, or finally deal with something you have been avoiding. Or maybe you have sensed that tomorrow morning cannot begin like every other morning. The enemy is working overtime right now for one reason. He knows your obedience. Tomorrow morning can break a pattern that has held you back for far too long. This is not about punishment. It is about preparation. Tomorrow morning, one critical task is waiting for you, and when you complete it, you will not merely finish an obligation, you will prove to yourself that the old version of you no longer has authority over your choices. It may be the task you have postponed, the conversation you have avoided, the application you have refused to submit, the room you need to clear, or the first hour of your day that must finally belong to God instead of distraction. You may have called your delay weakness, but perhaps that delay exposed exactly what needed to change. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm may have delivered the video, but your attention was guided here for a reason. Treat this as a divine appointment, a checkpoint before a new chapter begins. And if that truth just settled into something in you, hit that like button right now. Not for me, but as your own act of agreement with what heaven is already saying over your morning. Stay with me because I am going to help you identify the task, remove the excuse that has been blocking you, and give you a morning declaration to speak before you begin. Do not click away before you receive the instruction, because your future self is depending on the decision you make before tomorrow's distractions arrive. The enemy has been whispering a specific lie. You can do it later. It is not urgent. One more morning will not matter. But that lie has kept you circling the same cycle. The truth is that tomorrow morning is not asking for perfection. It is asking for obedience. Proverbs 3:27 says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to act." That is your decree. If it is in your power to begin, then begin. If it is in your power to begin, then begin. If it is in your power to finish, then finish. The heaviness you feel is not a sign that you are incapable. It may be the pressure of a decision becoming unavoidable. You are not starting over tomorrow morning. You are proving that you are ready to move forward. God does not reveal things by accident. If this message confirmed what your spirit already knew, the chosen one's blueprint was written for this exact moment in your journey. Now, let this settle deeply. Tomorrow morning is not about performing something impressive for God. It is about responding to what He has already been pressing upon your spirit. The task may look simple from the outside, but simplicity does not mean insignificance. Noah was given instructions that sounded unreasonable before the rain appeared. Moses was told to lift a staff before the sea opened. The widow in Elisha's day was not asked to produce what she did not have. She was asked to gather the vessels already within her reach. Heaven often hides immense consequences inside ordinary acts because God is not dependent on spectacle to reveal His power. You may be tempted to believe that if an assignment is truly from God, it must feel dramatic, difficult, or immediately recognizable as supernatural. But the Lord often begins with something so practical that you could mistake it for your own idea. He may lead you to organize what has been neglected, return to something you abandoned, speak a truthful sentence, or make one decision that brings your life back into order. The burning bush was extraordinary, but Moses still had to remove his sandals. The promise was divine, but the response was personal. That is how divine assignments often arrive. They do not always come wrapped in drama. Sometimes they come as one quiet act of obedience that your distracted mind keeps postponing. Sometimes the task is to wake up before the noise begins. Sit in stillness. Open the journal. Make the call. Send the message. Clean the space. Write the first page. forgive the person, or finally, remove your agreement from something that has been draining your life. The action may be ordinary, but the obedience attached to it is not. There are moments when the holiest thing you can do is put your phone down and listen. There are moments when prayer must become a decision. There are moments when faith is not a feeling that rises within you, but a movement your hands make while your emotions are still catching up. The quiet instruction may be God's way of showing you that you are not waiting for power. You are waiting to use the power already entrusted to you. And this is where many people remain stuck. They are waiting for a larger sign while ignoring the smaller instruction already standing in front of them. They want confirmation before commitment. But heaven often gives confirmation through commitment. The next door does not always appear before you move. Sometimes it appears because you moved. This ministry exists because people like you believe in carrying this word further. If you have ever felt led to sow into this work, there is a link in the description below. No pressure, no obligation, just an open door for those who feel called to partner with what heaven is doing here. The road is not always illuminated miles ahead. Often God gives enough light for the next step, and the next step reveals the one after it. Tomorrow morning, do not wake up asking, "What do I feel like doing?" Ask, "What has God already made clear?" Those are two very different questions. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable guides. Fear can sound like caution. Exhaustion can sound like wisdom. Familiarity can sound like peace. But the Spirit may be inviting you into something that does not feel comfortable because comfort has become the shelter of your delay. Peace is not always the absence of discomfort. Sometimes peace is the quiet assurance beneath discomfort, the still place inside you that knows this is difficult. But it is right. Jonah had no peace in running, even though the direction of escape looked easier. The prodigal son found the road home only after he became honest about where his choices had taken him. You will not always feel calm before obedience, but you can still possess a deeper confidence that God will meet you in it. There is a difference between waiting on God and waiting for fear to disappear. Waiting on God produces readiness. Waiting for fear to disappear produces excuses. Gideon did not feel mighty when the angel called him mighty. He was hiding. His circumstances contradicted the name heaven placed upon him. Yet the assignment did not change simply because his confidence had not caught up with it. God was not agreeing with Gideon's self-image. He was calling Gideon beyond it. So when you rise tomorrow, do not measure the importance of the task by how confident you feel. Measure it by whether it brings you into alignment with truth. You may still feel uncertain and obey. You may still feel uncertain and obey. You may still feel tired and begin. You may still have questions and take the next honest step. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is refusing to let trembling make your decisions. Your hands may shake while you build. Your voice may tremble while you speak. Your heart may race while you release. None of that means God is absent. But here is where it goes deeper. The task itself may not be the greatest test. The greater test may be whether you can complete it without needing immediate applause, visible results, or reassurance from other people. Some assignments lose their power when they are announced too early. Jesus often withdrew from crowds before making important decisions, not because he was hiding from purpose, but because purpose requires a protected place where the voice of God is louder than the opinions of people. There is a sacred difference between secrecy and privacy. Secrecy hides what is wrong. Privacy protects what is still growing. A seed is not ashamed because it is underground. A child is not failing because it is still in the womb. In the same way, the work God is doing in you may need time without public commentary. You do not need to expose every beginning to people who have not been assigned to carry it with you. Tomorrow morning, guard the first moments of your day. Before you give your attention to notifications, arguments, headlines, or the demands of everyone around you, give God the first honest portion of your awareness. You do not have to create an elaborate ritual. You need a willing heart and an undivided moment. Sit with the instruction, write it down, speak it plainly. Then do the part that belongs to you. Do not allow the urgency of other people to become louder than the conviction of God. If you begin the day reacting to every voice, you may spend your energy answering questions heaven never asked you. The first moments of the morning are like the gate of a city. Decide carefully what you allow to enter. Let scripture, prayer, gratitude, and truth establish the atmosphere before fear and comparison attempt to take the throne. And do not despise the quietness of that moment. Elijah expected God to speak through the wind, the earthquake, and the fire. But the direction came through a gentle whisper. The loudest thing in your life is not necessarily the most important thing. Some of the most decisive moments will feel almost invisible while they are happening. You may finish tomorrow's assignment and wonder whether anything changed, but roots grow in darkness before branches become visible. The silence may not be emptiness. It may be the sound of deep formation. Before we go any further, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, because we walk through words like this together, week after week, and beloved, think of one person right now who needs to hear this. Someone carrying the same weight, the same delay, the same unfinished obedience. Share this with them today. Your decision to send this could be the exact word that saves their breakthrough. In just a moment, we are going to uncover why this instruction has been delayed, because the resistance is not coming from the place you have been blaming. Stay with this. There is a hidden agreement beneath the postponement, and once you see it, the assignment will become much clearer. Perhaps you have told yourself that you are waiting for the perfect time, but perfection has become a disguise for avoidance. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are waiting for a moment that does not require faith. That moment music and singing may never come. Abraham left before he knew the full destination. Ruth stepped into a new field before she knew the harvest waiting there. The path became clearer after obedience, not before it. Many people want a map when God is offering a lamp. A map would let you control the journey, calculate every turn, and eliminate surprise. A lamp asks you to trust the one carrying it. Psalm 1:1-9 says that God's word is a lamp to your feet and a light to your path. Notice that the lamp illuminates the next portion of the road, not the entire landscape. This is not punishment. It is an invitation to walk relationally rather than mechanically. This does not mean every impulse is divine instruction. Discernment matters. God does not lead through confusion, manipulation, or the destruction of your dignity. He does not require you to violate wisdom in order to prove faith, but when an instruction is consistent with truth, wisdom, integrity, and the quiet conviction that has returned again and again, you must stop pretending that you need more evidence simply because you are afraid of the cost. Test what you hear. Bring it before God. Compare it with Scripture. Seek wise counsel when necessary, but do not use discernment as a permanent waiting room. There comes a moment when analysis must become action. If you continually ask whether the water is safe without ever stepping near the shore, you may miss the fact that God has already made a path through it. The cost may be your old identity. You have become accustomed to being the person who almost begins. You tell people what you are going to do. Imagine how it will feel. Research every detail and then retreat when the moment arrives. That cycle has protected you from embarrassment, but it has also protected you from growth. You cannot remain untouched by failure and expect to be transformed by faith. The version of you that survives by postponing will eventually have to surrender to the version of you that is willing to practice. You will not think your way into a new identity. You will live your way into it, one faithful decision at a time. Peter did not become courageous by studying courage from the boat. He stepped onto the water, and even when he faltered, he discovered that the hand of Jesus was close enough to catch him. Tomorrow morning, let the action be more important than the image of yourself taking the action. Do not spend the whole morning preparing to prepare. Do not keep rearranging the tools, rewriting the plan, or waiting until you feel spiritually impressive. Begin with what you have. The 5 loaves in the boy's hands did not look like enough until they were surrendered. Your small beginning may not look powerful, But God has always worked through what people were willing to place into His hands. Stop asking whether your beginning looks impressive. Ask whether it is available. A single brushstroke does not resemble the finished painting, but the painting cannot exist without it. One page can become a book. One conversation can become reconciliation. One boundary can become freedom. One morning of consistency can become the first stone in a new foundation. And this leads us to another layer. You may think the task is about producing something, but perhaps it is really about releasing something. Maybe the assignment is not to add another burden to your life, but to remove a weight you were never meant to carry. There are people who ask God for new doors while holding tightly to old chains. They pray for expansion while protecting the habits that keep them small. Tomorrow morning may require you to delete what keeps pulling you backward. Cancel what violates your values. Stop entertaining a conversation that repeatedly wounds your peace, or write down the truth you have been avoiding. Release is also obedience. Every word spoken here reaches someone who needed it exactly today. If this channel has become a place where you hear heaven's voice clearly, and you feel prompted to support that mission, the link is right below this video. Your seed helps this reach the next chosen one waiting to hear it. The Israelites could not walk into a new land while remaining emotionally loyal to Egypt. They had left physically, but their imagination was still governed by the place they escaped. You may have crossed the Red Sea but still be carrying Egypt in your thoughts. You may have left the relationship, but still be seeking its approval. You may have changed your surroundings but still be repeating the language of the people who diminished you. Freedom is not only a change of location, it is a change in agreement. It is the moment you stop letting an old place explain what is possible for you now. What are you still calling security because it is familiar? What are you still calling love because you are afraid to be alone? What are you still calling patience because you do not want to confront the truth? These questions are not meant to condemn you. They are meant to free you from the language that has kept you imprisoned. God does not expose a chain to humiliate you. He reveals it so you can stop decorating it and start removing it. But wait, before you move forward, you need to see this. Not every delay is an attack. Some delays are revelations. God may have allowed the process to slow down so you could see who you were becoming while you waited. If the door had opened earlier, you might have entered with the same insecurity, the same hunger for validation, and the same inability to recognize what was unhealthy. The delay did not mean you were forgotten. It may have been exposing what could not be carried into the next season. A delayed harvest can teach you how to care for the soil. A delayed answer can reveal whether you love God only for what He gives. A delayed relationship can show you the difference between longing and readiness. The wilderness was not wasted time for Israel. It was a place where dependency, identity, and trust had to be rebuilt. What felt like wandering was also preparation. This is why tomorrow's task must not be approached with desperation. Do not perform it as a bargain with God. Do not say, if I do this, you owe me a breakthrough. Obedience is not a transaction. It is alignment. You are not trying to manipulate heaven into blessing you. You are allowing your life to come into agreement with what is true. You are not earning God's love by obeying. You are responding to the love that has already found you. A child does not obey a loving parent in order to become a child. The child obeys from within the security of belonging. Let your obedience come from trust, not panic. Let it be an offering, not a demand. God is not a machine that dispenses blessings when you insert the correct behavior. He is a Father who forms your heart as you walk with Him. There is a sacred difference between striving and surrender. Striving says everything depends on me. Surrender says I will do what I am responsible for, and I will trust God with what I cannot control. Nehemiah rebuilt a wall one section at a time, but he did not pretend that human effort alone was the source of protection. He worked with his hands and prayed with his heart. That is the balance you need tomorrow. Active faith, not passive wishing. Disciplined effort, not anxious control. You may need to make the plan, set the alarm, prepare the materials, and take the first step. But you do not need to carry the entire outcome in your nervous system. The God who gives the assignment also gives grace for the process. Do what is in your hands and leave the parts that belong to heaven in heaven. Anxiety tries to make you responsible for tomorrow, next year, and everyone's response. Faith returns you to today, and once the task is complete, do not immediately demand a sign that it mattered. This is where many people undo the purity of their obedience. They take one step and then stare at the horizon, asking why the entire future has not appeared. But a seed does not become a tree because you keep digging it up to check its progress. Some things must remain covered while God develops them. Trust the hidden work. The widow poured oil into vessel after vessel, and the supply continued while she obeyed the instruction. The miracle did not announce itself before the pouring began. In the same way, you may only recognize the provision after you have made room for it. Do not despise the process because it is quiet. Heaven is capable of working beneath the surface. Coming up is the part most people resist. The possibility that the real assignment is not merely to do something tomorrow, but to become someone who can be trusted with what comes after it. That shift changes the way you see every small act, because tomorrow morning is training you in consistency. It is teaching your spirit that your promises to yourself are not disposable. Every time you honor a righteous instruction, you strengthen the inner structure required for greater responsibility. David was not formed in the palace first. He was formed in the field where no crowd was watching, and no one was applauding his faithfulness. The field taught him how to protect what was vulnerable, how to sing when no audience was present, and how to remain faithful when the reward seemed delayed. The palace only revealed what the field had already formed. Your private obedience is not a lesser version of your public purpose. It is the workshop where a public purpose is made safe. Before we close, I want to say this once. If God has used this word to shift something in you tonight, and you sense heaven asking you to sow into this ministry, do not ignore that prompting. The link is in the description. Whatever you give becomes seed for someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. Do not ask for influence if you are unwilling to practice integrity in private. Do not ask for a platform if you cannot keep your heart clear when no one is looking. Do not ask God to enlarge your territory while you neglect the small territory already entrusted to you. Your thoughts, your body, your time, your speech, your home, and your relationships. The task may expose how scattered your attention has become. If it does, do not shame yourself. Simply gather your mind, bring it back. A distracted person is not necessarily an undisciplined person. Often they are carrying too many voices. Tomorrow you may need to choose one thing and refuse to make it compete with everything else. Martha was not condemned because she cared. She was challenged because her care had become divided. There is a point where many good things become a barrier to the one necessary thing. You cannot pour clean water from a cup filled with sand. Stillness allows what is settled inside you to become visible. You may discover that you are not confused about the assignment. You are overwhelmed by the number of consequences you imagine. Bring those imagined consequences to God one by one. Let Him separate the real responsibility from the burden of prediction. So protect the instruction from unnecessary explanation. You do not need everyone to understand why you are doing what God placed in your heart. Joseph's brothers could not recognize his future while they were looking at his current position. Some people will only support the version of you that does not challenge their understanding of you. Their confusion is not proof that your obedience is wrong. You are allowed to grow beyond the expectations attached to your past. You are allowed to become unfamiliar to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. You are allowed to stop asking permission from those who never had authority over your calling. Be humble, but do not be governed by every opinion. Even Jesus was misunderstood by those closest to Him, and misunderstanding did not cancel His mission. But let me challenge you with something more uncomfortable. You may be asking God for direction while secretly wanting permission to continue doing what you already decided. You want a word, but only if it agrees with your preference. You want clarity, but only if clarity does not require surrender. This is not discernment. It is negotiation. The rich young ruler came to Jesus with a sincere question, but when the answer touched his attachment, sincerity was no longer enough. He wanted eternal life, but he did not want to release the thing that gave him earthly identity. That story is not only about money, it is about the hidden place where desire outranks obedience. What is the thing you hope God will not mention? What instruction keeps returning? Because the issue is not that you failed to hear it, but that you heard it clearly and hoped it would change. Tomorrow morning, do not edit the assignment to make it more comfortable. Partial obedience often creates the illusion of progress while preserving the root of resistance. When God asks you to forgive, He may not be asking you to trust the person again. When He asks you to release, He may not be asking you to deny what happened. When He asks you to begin, He may not be promising that everyone will understand. Obedience does not erase wisdom, it purifies your response. Do not add conditions that God did not give, and do not remove the part that confronts your attachment. And here is the deeper confrontation. Perhaps you have been blaming the enemy for a door you have been refusing to walk through. Spiritual warfare is real, but not every obstacle is demonic. Sometimes the battle is between the future God is calling you toward and the identity you are determined to keep. Sometimes the loudest resistance is not an external attack. It is your own attachment to being needed, pitted, right, or familiar. You may have built an entire self-image around what happened to you. You know how to be the wounded one, the overlooked one, the abandoned one, the person who never gets a fair chance. Those experiences may be true, but they are not the whole truth. Pain can explain your behavior without having the authority to define your destiny. The Lord is not asking you to pretend the wound did not matter. He is asking you to stop letting the wound become your prophet. Trauma may tell you what will always happen, but God speaks a better word. Shame may tell you who you are, but grace speaks with greater authority. Your history is part of your testimony, but it is not the boundary of your future. Tomorrow's assignment may confront the version of you that has learned to survive, but has not yet learned to receive. It may ask you to stop rehearsing the old wound and practice a new response. It may ask you to accept help instead of proving your strength, to speak instead of disappearing, to rest instead of earning your worth, or to forgive without reopening a door that God has already closed. Receiving can feel more frightening than striving because receiving makes you vulnerable to love. If you have survived by depending only on yourself, grace may initially feel unsafe, but you were never created to carry every burden alone. Jesus said, "Come to me all who are weary, not come to me only after you have fixed yourself." Let tomorrow teach you that dependence on God is not weakness. It is the source of strength that does not collapse when circumstances change. And here is the part you probably did not expect. The thing blocking you may not be fear of failure. It may be fear of what success will require from you. Failure allows you to remain familiar. Success demands stewardship. Healing changes your relationships. Promotion changes your responsibilities. Visibility exposes your motives. Freedom removes the excuse you used to explain why you could not move. Some people pray for breakthrough but are terrified of the accountability that comes with it. They want the promise without the discipline, the harvest without the pruning, the authority without the character. But God is not withholding good from you to punish you. He is forming the capacity to carry it without being destroyed by it. A larger cup must be strengthened before it can hold more water. Greater influence requires greater humility. More provision requires wiser stewardship. A healed heart must learn how to set boundaries, communicate honestly, and recognize what peace feels like. The preparation may seem slow because God is not merely bringing something to you. He is preparing you to remain whole when it arrives. That is why the critical task tomorrow may feel disproportionate to its size. It is not only about what you will accomplish, it is about what you will prove to your own spirit. You will prove that you can hear without endlessly debating. You can begin without perfect certainty. You can release without receiving an immediate replacement. You can obey without applause. You can trust God beyond the evidence currently visible. And once you complete it, pause. Give thanks before asking for the next command. Let the moment register in you. You are not the same person who went to sleep postponing obedience. Something has shifted. Perhaps the external circumstances have not changed yet, but the internal agreement has. The chain begins to break when you stop volunteering for the prison. Do not rush past the evidence of your own growth. Celebrate quietly, not with pride, but with gratitude. Tell God, thank you for helping me respond. Let the victory become part of your memory, because there will be another morning when fear tries to convince you that you have never obeyed before. You will need to remember that grace met you once and it will meet you again. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me. I release the fear that has disguised itself as wisdom. I release the delay that has disguised itself as preparation. I release every label, attachment, and agreement that keeps me loyal to a version of myself. God is calling me beyond. Tomorrow I will respond with courage. I will do what is mine to do, and I will trust God with what is beyond my control. I will not demand the whole map before taking the next faithful step. My obedience will be sincere, my motives will be purified, and my heart will remain open to correction. I am not forgotten. I am being prepared. I am not behind, I am being aligned. I receive the strength to complete what has been placed before me, and I step forward with peace. Before you go to sleep tonight, write the instruction down in your own words. Make it plain enough that you cannot hide from it in the morning. Put what you need within reach. Remove one distraction before it has the chance to negotiate with you. Then when you wake, do not begin with a debate. Begin with a prayer, and after the prayer begin. If this word stirred something in you, if you feel that shift from delay into decision already beginning, I want to hear from you. Drop "I will obey" in the comments as your declaration. Not as a performance, but as a personal witness to the decision you are making right now. Let that be your echo back to heaven. And if you know someone who has been waiting for a sign while ignoring the next step, send this to them with compassion. Sometimes the confirmation someone needs is not a new revelation, it is the courage to finally act on the one they already received. And do not forget to subscribe, because this is only the beginning. We are going deeper into what it means to hear God clearly and respond without delay.